Good afternoon and welcome back to our channel. We bring you an updated content concerning our expectations, having known that disbursement was shifted from 16th to between 16th and 25th. That was when the expectation was to be that the grant should be disbursed, but of late we heard that it was shifted to the 31st of this month, and now it has been shifted again. It has been shifted to the early week of next year, 2025. And what is the major cause? It's as a result of leftover funds. Leftover funds, according to the donor, it is expected that all funds should be disbursed to the beneficiaries, and but the Nigerian government wanted to find a way to share the leftover funds amongst themselves by trying to inculcate more clusters, to accommodate this. But the new terms and conditions and rules of the donors does not support this, else the fund will be repatriated back to the CBN, and that is exactly where we're right now. Pay attention to this particular voice note and know where we are standing. It has been shifted again to next year. That's the early week of next year. Pay attention to this. If you are new to our channel, kindly subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't get to miss out on apt information at a time. This is Princess channel. You're welcome.
Disbursement has officially been shifted to January 2025 following irreconcilable disbursement or transactional differences between representative of Nigerian government and representative of the donor alongside the grant handler. And the question everyone is asking at the moment is, what is these irreconcilable differences that caused disbursement to be suspended on the 16th of December that it was scheduled to take place to the 23rd and the 24th of December 2024 to January 2025? The same scenario that repeated itself in the grant ecosystem for almost a decade ago in 2023 and again in 2024. Let's face it. Recall, on the 16th of December 2024, there was an agreement between the Nigerian government and the grant handler for disbursement to be executed within 24 hours. Immediately money hit the account of the grant handler, disbursement must be completed at 24 hours timeline, else the money will be taken back by the government to the CBN. This condition was not favorable to the grant handlers on the 16th, and they decided to hold series of meetings among themselves on how to be able to meet up with the 24 hours timeline. Hence the reason why disbursement was rescheduled to 23rd and 24th of December 2024. Between this period, the representative of the donor, the IMF and the World Bank arrived in Nigeria to flag off disbursement on the 23rd and the 24th. However, on the arrival of the donor's representative at the villa, where meetings was held between the grant handler and the representative of the Nigerian government, one of the conditions of the donor was that all funds must be distributed to the masses and nothing is left behind. And the expectation of the Nigerian government was that leftover funds will be taken back by the government and distributed among their circle. Unfortunately, the new condition of the donor did not go down well with Nigerian government. And another meeting was convened at the instance of Nigerian government with the grant handlers that disbursement should be shifted from the 24th till the 31st of December 2024, all to buy time for themselves to provide additional cooperatives and NGO to exhaust the fund that will be left over after disbursement to the officially subscribed NGO or officially registered NGO for disbursement. There are certain gray lines in this story. Why is money going to be left over as if we don't have adequate NGOs in the country to receive all the funds? To answer this question, you have to travel back to the beginning. How much was the entitlement of the beneficiaries and how much was the entitlement of the cooperative or the NGOs after disbursement? From the donor's document, each beneficiary of this grant, the masses, supposed to receive the sum of $5,000. And how much is $5,000 at the current naira to dollar exchange rate of 1,614 naira? About 8,070,000 naira each beneficiary is supposed to receive. But the Nigerian government threatened 8 million to a beneficiary at this time is going to cause inflation in the country. We are all aware of the story. Let's reduce it downward. Series of meetings were convened at this instance. You are aware when the money was reduced to palliative, then stepped up to some NGOs at the rate of 1,800,000, 2,500,000, and finally agreed on the 16th for each beneficiary to receive 3 million naira. What about the remaining one? Government wanted to take it for themselves and share among the political elites in the country. Unfortunately, they do not want all the remnants to be repatriated back to the World Bank. And that will be quite unfortunate, having domiciled trillions of naira, and part of it will be returned back to the foreign donors' account. Therefore, the need for adjournment of disbursement. Adjournment at the moment doesn't imply disbursement is not going to take place. It doesn't call for you doubting if there's existence of fund. It calls for your understanding why disbursement is adjourned again this time. In 2023, the disbursement was equally adjourned again on the same reason of closure of the banks or the CBN. But at this period, disbursement is adjourned to 2025 because the Nigerian government doesn't want the donor to take back the fund. Originally, the Nigerian government thought after sharing some percentage of the fund to the NGOs, the leftover will be used by the government in fulfilling their interest too. But foreigners, as you already know, are quite strict, disciplined, and thorough in their policies. The money was not meant for the government in the first instance. Therefore, thinking the percentage of the fund can be shared among the government is against the donors' policies. However, the donors are still available in the country. It's part of the policy that representative of the donor should witness flagging off of disbursement and confirm successful disbursement of the grants to the RONGO accounts. In the real sense, we shouldn't have trespassed this boundary if the government of Nigeria has allowed the money or the $5,000 meant for each beneficiary to be disbursed to the masses. What's the big deal in disbursing the fund? How will it cause inflation in the country? This same privilege was equally enjoyed by the Eurasians, the Chinese, almost a century ago. But why is it different in our time? Funds like this will encourage the growth of private sectors. We witness the key actors in all sectors of the economy: agriculture, entertainment, art, productions. There will be growth of almost all sectors, thereby strengthening the economy, not causing inflation or degenerating it. The Nigerian government have to give a rethink of this policy before we lose it all. Further delay will lead to suspension or complete forfeiture of the fund, and the donors are keen on ensuring that all the funds goes to the masses. Going forward, between this Christmas celebration and the New Year, the government is using the period to profile more NGOs to be able to exhaust the fund. Three things is expected to happen at this period. The government is either going to increase the entitlements of the beneficiaries to the $5,000. That's about 8,070,000 naira in the current naira to dollar exchange rate. Or the government increase the number of bundles to the NGO, probably from 2 bundles to 5 bundles. And thirdly, increase the total number of NGO participation in this scheme. Instead of about 20,000 or 50,000 NGO, the government might increase the number of NGOs to 100,000 NGOs to receive the fund from the grant handler. The government and the grant handler have to be practical in these policies. Going by the agreement of the government with the grant handler, on receiving the fund, they should complete disbursement within 24 hours. But looking practically, especially considering Nigerian banking network, it's almost impossible for grant handlers to complete disbursement in 24 hours, or they take back the fund. If we must succeed, if the government have good intent for the masses, for every Nigerian to receive the fund, 48 to 72 hours is appropriate for every grant handler to complete their transaction, not 24 hours. The excuse of national security threat should be left aside. Yes, you know, government believes that if the money is left in the account of the grant handler beyond 24 hours, there is tendency of some grant handler using the fund to fund terrorism, like what is seen in Southeast and in the Northeast. It is far from this. There are certain technology that should be deployed to monitor the account of the NGOs to ensure there is no deviation from the expected agreement, instead of giving them a bottleneck condition to disburse or else take back the money. It's an indirect way of denying Nigerians from benefiting from this rare privilege, from this divine blessing. So going forward, if in January 2025 we should never delay disbursements to February or even March to the first or second quarter, let practical policies be executed. The government attempting to profile more NGOs to receive the entire volume of this cash may delay disbursement, not in the 31st December, even beyond 31st January. So instead of planning to register more NGOs to accommodate the volume of cash available, let the entitlement that was directed by the donor to the beneficiaries be executed, $5,000 to everyone, and appropriating this, checking if about 50,000 or 80,000 NGOs, which we already have even more in the grant ecosystem, those NGOs, instead of seeking for new, should be harmonized amongst the grant handler for disbursement. I'm sure UAAG alone have over 20,000 NGOs. Power of 5 alone have over 20,000. AGPGN might have 10 or even 20,000 too. HODEV, I know, IKE Foundation, Supreme, Theobat have thousands of NGOs, and between now and 31st, harmonization of this NGO can create or usher in speedy disbursement instead of calling for new NGO registration. Because we all know registration of cooperatives in Nigeria at the moment need the availability of government offices like Bureau for Cooperative Development, and those offices have already closed for the year. So technically, there's no way new cooperative will be registered in an already existing holiday period till December 31st to accommodate the volume of cash available. As a fact, nothing is stopping disbursement in this country since 8 years ago. After all, the money was donated by the donor to Nigeria and it was there in the CBN, lying in wait. Nothing stopped disbursement from taking place in 2024. Taking out the greed and the African factor, or taking out the Machiavellis and the supremacy mentality, disbursement will take place in less than 48 to 72 hours in this country. The mentality of don't allow the masses to hold much fund in their bank accounts. Don't allow them to count millions in their accounts. They will be disloyal to the government. They will fight the government. This is the same mentality that is hindering Nigerian growth and progress. Allow the masses to control reasonable volume of funds in their accounts. Nigerians are creative. We are brave. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wants the masses to breathe. Let those working with him allow the masses to breathe. Allow this policy to thrive. Allow disbursement to take place in January 2025. First week, precisely. An economy of a given country is as strong as the total number of producers, empowered entrepreneurs, artisans, value chain actors actively scaling up production and the factors of productions across the value chains in a society. Grant subscribers need to be empowered with the grant, hence everyone can return back to producing and processing what we consume in this country. Else, Nigeria will continually retain the title of a developing nation when its surrounding neighboring countries like Niger, Ghana, Cameroon become developed countries. It's not about being endowed with rich natural potentials. A lesser endowed country with effective leadership will outshine any country with rich natural potentials but with poor leadership. Some grant handlers are intimating their supporters that disbursement will start on 31st December. It's technically impossible. Some are saying on the 1st of January. It's technically impossible. all New Year Eve, where people are already in their respective vacational destinations, still having fun. According to information from reliable sources, disbursement is going to take place on the 5th or 10th of January 2025. But we don't want the subscribers to live in the same scenario of 2024, where date for disbursement is fixed, readjourned again and again and again. Let the government and the Grand Handler harmonize all their policies before finally officially coming to the masses to announce the date of disbursement, and stay to ensure disbursement takes place in that new date. We are reliably informed that the government representatives and the Grand Handlers will be meeting again before the end of the year 2024. And part of the reason for this meeting is to take in more cooperatives or NGOs to be able to exhaust the funds, the volume of funds in their custody. Accordingly, we will bring you this update, especially if windows will be provided for those who haven't registered their cooperative and NGOs to register. If you are new to our channel or haven't subscribed before, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Hence, when we publish updates on these regards in days ahead, you will be immediately notified. To all the grand subscribers at the moment, the reality is already staring us at the face. Disbursement is technically in New Year, between 5th and 10th of January 2025. Do what you can to survive this difficult moment. Maintain a low-key celebration of this Christmas, with hope that when disbursement eventually takes place in January, all the foods you couldn't eat, all the clothes you couldn't wear, the convenient house you couldn't live, you will all achieve these things. We will receive disbursement in January. Keep your hope alive. Keep your faith strong. If you have survived the 8 years disbursement deadlock in the grant ecosystem, you have survived the 2023 disbursement failure, and equally, you are going to survive this 2024 till 2025. And finally, we will receive disbursement in January 2025. We can't leave this ecosystem without disbursement. God is too faithful to fail.